imagine that the world could be so very fine, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. You and me, no matter how they toss the dice, it had to be. The only one for me is you, and you for me, so happy together. I can't see me loving nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Sit around and watch the tube, but nothing's on. Change the channels for an hour or two. Twiddle my thumbs just for a bit. I'm sick of all the same old shit. In a house with unlocked doors and I'm fucking lazy. Wipe my lip and close my eyes. Take me away to paradise. I'm so damn bored, I'm going blind, and it smells like shit. I can't see nobody but you for all my life. When you're with me, baby, the skies will be blue for all my life. Yo.
Yeah.
Woo! Woo!
What's up, Zoomers?
What up?
Well, I'm very excited. Suzy, Shin's Weezer producer extraordinaire, is here tonight with us, and she's going to give us all kind of insider info on the Weezer process and personalities. So feel free to ask her for some dirt. I'll just pretend like I'm not here. and just as awesome, Jack is here. Let's say hi to Jack. And what was Jack's credit on the album?
I don't know if he got some kind of like executive producer credit or if he got like emotional support animal, but he's definitely on there with something.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a name for the dog on Ratatouille? I think Sydney was her name. Rivers. I don't know if you remember, but there was a dog that was on the cover of Ratatouille, and it was like she was like famous. Besides not even being on your guys' album cover, she was like on like Nat Geo and all kinds of stuff. So it's pretty cool.
Well, I think Jack's on his way to the top. I mean, this dog was in the studio every day with us, and I mean, he was pretty much taking up the whole couch with that little body somehow. But apart from that, he was huge emotional support. This totally makes puts a smile on everyone's face.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a few announcements. A lot of people have been commenting on my hair. I know it looks kind of strange. I had it cut like 2 months ago, and just as the lady was like halfway through, somebody came in that she knew, and she kind of just stopped cutting my hair. And so like half of it is
it looks good.
All right.
It looks better than mine, so.
But yeah, I was going to go back and have her fix it, but you know, the whole lockdown thing. So I'll get it fixed when I can, and everything's going to be good. So next, I want to do another one of these or more of these. So I'm just trying to think, like, should I do next Thursday or Friday or Saturday? And let me know what you think. I'm going to be in the studio finishing up OK Human. So I'm not 100% sure if I can make it back to do this time. Just let me know what you think about days and times in general, because it's not just about me, you know. I got to know what's good for you guys. And another thought about this is at the end of the webinars, I've been closing my lid and just assuming it's kind of over. But then occasionally I hear like voices still going in my computer, and I don't know if you guys can keep going after I close the lid. That's totally fine with me. It might be a fun way to hang out if nobody has anything better to do. I just have to get to this meditation thing at 7, but feel free to stay and hang out if it's technically possible. Internet connection, I just checked it. It's 150 megabits per second at least. And I checked with Zoom and they say, as long as you have 1.5 megabits, you should be fine. So if anyone's getting a message that my connection is slow, I don't know what to do, but I did get this Ethernet thing. So let me know if I'm freezing and I'll plug this in and see what happens. A bunch of people have been saying, like, why don't you use Instagram Live or YouTube Live or Periscope or something like that? And I don't know, like, can you guys, are there panels and stuff on those other services? Because I like being able to see all you guys. I think it's really fun. And it's probably fun for you to be able to see somebody besides me. Anyway, I don't really know much about these various services, but feel free to give me your opinion. Okay, so let's say hi to Suzy.
Let's go.
What was I gonna say? Like, okay, so let's give them just a really brief history. Maybe you should take over, but as far as I remember, you came in on the White Album, which pretty much everybody loves. And
yeah, that was. Oh, go ahead.
You were the engineer, kind of Jake's right-hand woman.
Yeah. I remember that was, I think, when you first, even before you were on Crush, like you went to go work with Jake on something else, and that was the first day I ever worked with Jake. And so
that was the first day you worked with Jake?
I remember, and you were like, hey, can you go hang out in the lobby? And I was like, okay, I'll just go.
Oh yeah, so wait, let me explain. When I'm first working with, I don't like having a lot of people in the studio. Like, I just want like my one person or one or two people that I have a relationship with, and I can just really get in the zone, and I don't have to worry about what I sound like or what I look like. And so I walk to the studio to work with Jake, and Suzy's sitting there, like, wow, like how that's like another human. And so I just couldn't deal. So I asked her to step out, and now Suzy's been on the other side of that because I'm so familiar with her now. When I'm working with her, if she has some other assistant or engineer come in, I like freeze up, and I'm just like, get that person out.
I remember you described it and you were like, you know, if they're looking at me, it feels weird that they're looking at me. And then if they're not looking at me, I can tell that they're looking at me. And I was like, okay, everyone just has to leave at all times.
Yeah, until I get to know you, and then it's totally cool.
Totally.
So it's a catch-22, because how can I get to know you if you're not there? All right, so let me play another song here. Never done this one on the piano before, so I'm gonna try it. It's from Pinkerton. I know I should get next to you. You got a look that makes me think you're cool, but it's just sexual attraction, not something real, so I'd rather keep working. Why bother? It's gonna hurt me, it's gonna kill when you desert me. This happened to me twice before, it won't happen to me anymore. I've known a lot of girls before. What's the harm in knowing one more? Maybe we could even get together. Maybe you could break my heart next summer. Why bother? It's gonna hurt me. It's gonna kill when you desert me. This happened to me twice before. It won't happen to me anymore. Yeah! It's a crying shame I'm all alone. Not with you, never know anyone. Won't you knock me on my head? Crack it open, let me out of here. Why bother? It's gonna hurt me. It's gonna kill when you desert me. This happened to me twice before. It won't happen to me anymore. Why bother? It's gonna hurt me. Why bother? It's gonna hurt me. Why bother? It's gonna hurt me. Why bother? It's gonna hurt me.
Yay.
Awesome.
Quite
That was killer.
What up? Okay. And then, long story short, she engineered our vocal produced Africa and all of the Teal album, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it was really when we were doing the Teal album that I really noticed how great your producing skills were, because I could tell you were, unlike most producers, you're really listening to me singing and you're kind of keying in on who I was as a person, what my personality sounded like, what the emotion was. And most people are just listening, okay, is he hitting the right note? Is it in tune? Is it in time? It sounds strong. You know, I guess that's good. And you're like, you don't really sound like a nice person right now, or you sound like you're angry and it's a happy song, or you sound happy and it's a sad song. So you were like really pushing me to sing and express a personality in a way that I thought was great. So I got the idea of like, well, let's do a whole album with her. So she's kind of producing the whole band, not just me. Sorry, I'm taking over. So.
Oh, I love it. I didn't know some of this stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, music and like and having emotion is so important for me. And like your lyrics and even the way you play guitar, I can pick up and like play chords. And then you pick up the same exact guitar through the same sound and I can feel it. And I just think that's so cool. Like no one in the world is like you, which is great. And like the way your lyrics are, so there's motorcycles driving by, are like you make me feel, and it's in, like sometimes it's so simple as something that's like every time I pin down what I think I want, it slips away. It's very simple, but like you sing it and you say it and it cuts. And then there's this like other side of Weezer that I love, and it's like, you wanted arts and crafts. How's this? Na. And it's just like these two combinations. I don't know. And it's just like, I always want that from you because I always want like the best out of you. You are so human and like connected to like the human emotion in such a unique way.
Wow.
I think.
Well, couldn't do it without you. So yeah, what can we tell them about Van Weezer? So she's taken over now. She's running the show, and you probably heard "End of the Game." And I remember the original opening line was, "Hey baby, where you been today?" And I can't stand "Hey baby." It's just not interesting enough. So I tried like 20 different things, and Suzy's like, "Nah, it just doesn't sound iconic enough. It's got to be like that iconic, catchy thing, like "Hey baby." And so finally, I was like, "How about Hey Suzy?" And she's like, "I kind of like that."
Oh my god,
So that's how we ended up with that opening line.
so funny. Yeah, I remember it was at one point, "Hey Jimmy," and then I was like, "Wait, we're singing about Jimmy and a son on the island." I was like, I think that's maybe too many references in one song.
Right.
Um.
So yeah, we got what else can we tell them about Van Weezer? Did you post that IG story with Jack in it jumping around to
Yeah.
One More Hit? Cool.
I did. I think people like it. I just thought it came out because I was like looking like, what should I post? And I sent it to you, and I was like, what is Jack doing? Like, all he does and like growls at people.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, go to her Instagram account, and it's the dog Jack is doing this dance to one of the Van Weezer songs. It's so great.
I mean, I love that song, and also like, I mean, it's not in the audio clip that you guys heard, but like, it's like a part of it is heavily inspired by Slayer, which I just like fucking love so much, and it was just so fun.
It was cool working with you because if I was working with some guy my age, my generation, grew up on heavy metal, and I tried to do some metal lick like that, and he said, "Yeah, that sounds cool," I don't know if I would believe him. But if you say it, I'm like, well, she thinks it's cool. It must be cool. So there's some pretty outrageous riffage on the album.
Yeah, I love like you were so game to play as much guitar all the time. Like if it was like working out solos, or I'm like, okay, let's do another pass of like ad-lib guitar, or like treating it like a vocal almost. I just thought it was so cool. Except for feedback. You never wanted to do the feedback guitar.
Yeah. My idea was, okay, just one time I'm going to record feedback for half an hour, and then for the rest of Weezer's career, any producer can go and grab some feedback and put it in the song if they want.
So funny.
So does anybody else have questions for Suzy?
Yeah, I got a question. I'm a guitar player and I love Weezer. What kind of guitars are you using on the most recent album that's coming out?
We used a lot of Gibson SGs. There's a white one that you see on my Instagram, and then I have a reissue, I forget which year, in the 60s, and then Brian had a vintage one, I want to say it's 65, maybe. We have the junior, which I still have. Sorry, Rivers. Belongs in storage. We'll go back soon. And like this is, you know, all the feedback, a lot of the rhythms. And then there's a Tom Anderson Pro-Am that had a whammy bar, and we use that a lot.
The Junior is the guitar that I've used ever since the Blue album, and that was at the suggestion of Rick Ocasek. That's the guitar he used, and I never would have thought to use it, but that's kind of like the classic Weezer power chord sound there. And then I remember for a lot of the whammy bar dive stuff, I don't have a guitar like that yet. I haven't had one since the late 80s. So we would just like call up a guitar shop, local guitar shop, and say, "Can you send over a guitar with a whammy bar, please?" And they would send over some random metal guitar, and I'd go crazy on it for a couple hours.
There was one that we had that had like a naked woman with a sticker on the front, and I was like, what? What are they sending? Do you remember that? It was at United. And she had flames surrounding her body.
No.
Oh, I'll have a picture.
I have naked women on 2 of my SGs, the white SGs, one because one's called Courtney and it has Courtney Love on the back, and the other one's called Yoko and it has Yoko Ono on the back. Okay, so here's the next single from Van Weezer. It's called Hero. Try to imagine it played super heavy metal because that's what it sounds like, and this is a piano, so it's going to sound really different. But hopefully good different. When I was a kid, I thought I'd save the world, running around and chasing all the criminals, swinging on a web, flying in the sky, shooting lasers from my eyes. But now I know it never was my destiny. It's not my place in life, not who I'm meant to be. And I don't want the glory, I don't want the fame, and I don't want to wear that cape. 'Cause on the inside, I know it won't last. On the inside, I'm an outcast. Everybody needs a hero, but I'm not everybody else. I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone. Oh, yeah. You know I tried to be a hero, but I was lying to myself. I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone. Oh, yeah. They build you up and then they gonna tear you down. They love you, then they hate you if you wear a crown. It's not that I don't love to solve a mystery, but life is hard enough with one identity. If silence is the voice of a new generation, then I could live up to all of your expectations. Hammer down hard like a Mayan fist and disappear like I don't exist. 'Cause on the inside, I know it won't last. On the inside, I'm an outcast. Everybody needs a hero, but I'm not everybody else. I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone. Oh, yeah. You know I tried to be a hero, but I was lying to myself. I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone. Oh, yeah. Well, everybody needs a hero, but I'm not everybody else. I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone. Oh, yeah. You know I tried to be a hero, but I was lying to myself. I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone, yeah, I walk alone. Oh, yeah. Thank you, everybody. See you next week.
Ciao.
Great song.
Bye.
That was awesome. Hey, Suzy, do you have a second to stick around with us and answer more questions?
Totally.
Awesome. Any panelists? Do you have any extra questions for Suzy? Tiffany?
So I have a question. I follow you on like Twitter and Instagram and everything, and I've watched your performances that you put on the on your story and stuff, and your voice is just so beautiful. Like and it seems so effortless. Like just you sing and like I really have to try, and it still doesn't sound that good. Like, so do you have any interest in like being, you know, on the other side of the microphone ever, or? I mean, I know that you've done some backup and stuff, but I mean, like, as far as really kind of like becoming an artist.
Totally. I mean, I love to write songs. I love to produce, and I work a lot. So Charlie Brand, who you might know, engineered a lot on the album, and he's also has a band called Miniature Tigers, and we work a lot, and I work on stuff with him, but like, I don't know if, you know, I'll ever go try to be Weezer or something like that, but like I always want to keep making music and creating, you know, in any way. You know, what makes
Very
me
cool. I think we have time for one more question. Corey?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So on like previous albums, Rivers has talked about how he has used different writing techniques with lyrics. Like I know like on Pacific Daydream especially, he was doing like stream of consciousness and stuff like that. Have you guys been working with like any sort of like newer lyric writing? Like I know that these lyrics on the new album seem like they're a lot more like they hit like a lot more like home than on Pacific Daydream. So have you guys like worked with any new?
I mean, I know he starts off like everything's in a spreadsheet essentially. He does a lot of stream of consciousness still, and then after that we kind of like pick through, and I'm like really, you know, as hard as I can be on him about what are you trying to say, what are you trying to make me feel, what story do you have? Like if I can't really like feel it here, then like you know, whatnot. And he uses the machine a lot, and I personally am not a fan of the machine, so I'd always be like, okay, let's go take a pen and a paper and like computers away, like what do you want to say, what are you trying to say to me? So yeah, and like he'll go like some songs maybe have like 30-20 revisions on a song, just to make sure like it's there. Like at the end of the day, the production can go away, everything. He can have a piano or an acoustic guitar and a vocal, and like it's still a song. So that's what we tried to aim for.
That's great. I'm really glad that you're working on this album with them.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, Suzy, I wanted to thank you too. I love music, but I don't speak music. To me, it's like a foreign language. And listening to Daniel and Rivers talk, or listening to you and Rivers talk, is so awesome. And you did a wonderful job earlier of articulating of what I think we Weezer fans feel about Rivers being special and his voice and the way he comes across. So thank you for putting words to that feeling that we have too.
Of course, you know, there's no one like him. Love him.
Awesome. I think that's a great note to thank you and thank the panelists. And we'll see you next time.
Well, thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Jack.
It was nice to meet you.
Bye.
Bye.